At the beginning of the movie, a father named Paul McGuire is seen picking up his daughter named Caitlin at school.
Hey, Daddy.
But when Paul sees that Caitlin has a tattoo, he becomes angry and immediately reprimands Caitlin. But Caitlin calmed him down, explaining that she got it for a school project. Afterward, Paul drove his daughter back to their home and advised her to always give her best at school.
Totally.
After some time, Paul got together with his friends, Kane, who owned a bar, and Danny. Paul plans to celebrate his birthday with his friends at this bar, and he does everything he can to make sure everything goes smoothly. Paul warns Kane not to give alcoholic beverages to his daughter and her friends, and leaves after being assured.
He's gonna love it. The band's booked. She's got the whole place to herself.
Okay, good. Caitlin, sweet 16. Damn, makes me feel old.
I'm gonna throw a great party. You're a great dad.
I gotta run. Take it easy, Polly.
Next, Paul, along with the mayor, gave an interview to the reporters present. Paul was the owner of a construction company, and he and the mayor had worked together to put together a scheme which would result in 100 new jobs. In the end, the profit will be put toward funding medical research and educational programs. Later in the evening, Paul and his new wife Vanessa begin making preparations to attend a significant charity dinner. Caitlin stays at Paul's house with her buddies Evan and Mike while Paul is out of town. He is aware that Mike is currently employed in the position of dishwasher, and he has assured that he will find him a position at his company during the summer.
I know. Listen, we're just gonna hang out here, watch TV or something. Lisa might stop by.
Michael, I hear you're a working man.
In addition to this, Paul observes Mike looks at his daughter with gentle eyes and decides to have a private conversation with him about it. He allows Mike to date Caitlin after he makes sure that Mike is not abusing any illegal substances.
Good. Promise.
You guys have a good night.
Paul and Vanessa are still out on the town far after midnight, and they are having a conversation with another couple about Paul's business. While all this is going on, Caitlin and a few of her close pals watch a movie in peace. In the unfolding narrative, we witness a sudden shift in events. It all starts when, during an evening, our attention is drawn to the presence of a police cruiser patrolling the dimly lit streets. In this elegant setting, Detective John, a figure known for dealing with the tough side of life, approaches Paul. Paul, whose past is haunted by a life of crime, is accustomed to being harassed. Yet, the detective's intent is different this time.
It's about Caitlin.
The news is like a lightning bolt, prompting Paul to rush home to find Caitlin missing. Evan and Mike, her close companions, recount a harrowing tale of masked intruders breaking in and abducting her. Their heroic attempts to thwart the kidnappers were met with armed threats. Detective John advises Paul to let the police handle the situation, reassuring him they'll leave no stone unturned to reunite him with his daughter.
You have a tap on your phone. Either myself or Detective Hanson will be here at all times. Paul, we'll find her. You better.
The emotional impact of the situation deepens when Vanessa, in a tearful plea, implores Paul to do whatever it takes to bring Caitlin back.
Whatever it takes, you just bring her home.
Caitlin McGuire is 5'6", 105 pounds. Along classmates were injured in that home invasion.
The next day, the news outlets resonate with reports on Caitlin's disappearance, urging citizens to aid the police in their search. However, Paul's mind is racing with a theory. This kidnapping might be a long-delayed act of revenge for his youthful criminal activities, particularly his confrontation with Ivan. Ignoring the advice of the police, he takes it upon himself to launch a private investigation.
Be safe, okay?
As he prepares for his mission, a flashback takes us back to his life of crime many years ago. He visits Mike, hoping to extract vital information about Caitlin's abductors. What follows is a tense exchange, Paul expressing his expectation that Mike would have protected Caitlin. Mike, however, reveals the chaos of the moment, expressing his deep wish to have saved her.
They had guns.
I would expect you to get shot trying to protect her. Kidnappers, do they have an accent?
I don't know.
Come on, Mike, you have got to give me something. If anything happens to my daughter, I'm holding you personally responsible.
I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't know.
Desperate for leads, Paul seeks the assistance of Kane and Danny, offering them money. Their loyalty, however, transcends money, and they decide to help out of a sense of family bonds.
We really can't take that. We're family.
Their quest takes them to Oliver, a known figure in the underworld. The confrontation with Oliver's girlfriend reaches a boiling point, but ultimately yields no information about Caitlin's whereabouts.
You don't know anything about the girl, Oliver?
I don't know, Lord Jesus!
Danny and Kane return to Paul, with the disheartening news that they've hit a dead end. Paul's patience with the police is tested to its limits when Caitlin's body is discovered in a storm drain. The heart-wrenching sight leaves Paul shattered.
Watch them fade.
You know, Paul, a present situation.
Following her funeral, an old friend, O'Connell, steps forward with a suggestion. He argues that having distanced himself from the mob, Paul should let the police handle the investigation, rather than resorting to mob methods.
Do I show my weakness? No. I buried it a long time ago, just like you had to bury yours. I'm asking you, don't. Let the cops do their job. You better be listening, because I know you.
I understand.
Later, Kane and Danny meet Paul at his home. We see a flashback to when they lived a life of crime. One night, they ambushed a Russian mobster, intercepting him on his way to deliver money to his boss. The loot was much bigger than they imagined. In addition to a Russian TT gun, they managed to take away a briefcase full of money.
I can't cut this.
Best you clean it up.
It was enough for Paul to leave the criminal life and go legit, but their crime sparked a bloody and protracted war between their Irish crime family and the Russian mafia. In the process, the police made progress and discovered that Caitlin was killed with a Russian TT pistol, the same as the one with which Paul killed the Russian mobster.
Six on the McGuire girl, a 7.62 millimeter, fired from a Soviet-made Tokarev TT.
The detective ordered the other officer to keep this information hidden. Paul goes to the school several times over the next few days to retrieve his daughter's possessions. Kane and Danny make the shocking discovery that Caitlin's death was caused by the Russian TT pistol. Kane pays Paul a visit and discusses the weapon with him. Since the Russian TT pistol is a popular weapon among criminals, Paul now has a better idea of who might be responsible for the crime. He and his buddies harass and intimidate anyone who could have a connection to Chernov, the infamous mob boss whose money they stole 17 years ago, and who they believe was involved.
That got their attention.
They're gonna come gunning for us. Sure as shit.
Vanessa, who at first encouraged her husband in his search, is now concerned that he would revert to the violent person he was in the past. On the other hand, there is a different possibility. Maybe he has always been a violent man and will never be able to fully escape that life. Paul and his friends proceed with their investigation. They track down a Russian gangster named Vory, with whom they had previous run-ins of violence. After Paul starts beating him up, Vory flees, and Paul pursues him, and he bleeds to death.
You know who I am?
Who did it?
No, don't tell me.
One evening, the investigator has a conversation with Paul and warns him not to continue his behavior, or else he will have no choice but to place him under arrest. Paul does not pay attention to what he has to say, and later at night, he travels with Kane and Danny to the residence of Russian drug traffickers, members of the Russian mafia. The three embark on a bloody rampage, slaughtering everyone who is inside the building. The next day, the detective and the other cops arrive at the location. The investigator quickly comes to the conclusion that Paul and his companions were responsible for this crime. Now that Paul's friends have destroyed some of Chernov's men's enterprises and killed some of Chernov's men, the Russian gangster Chernov has set his sights on the buddies.
Find whoever did this and bring them directly to me. When I was a young man, we used to settle our disputes with this.
A few days later, the stage is set for a tense showdown. In a dimly lit corner of Kane's bar, a menacing group of Russian criminals makes their entrance. Their arrival is marked by the deafening symphony of gunfire.
Shit. Well, I should be on my street. Big bunch of Russian guys have just gotten out.
Shattering the silence of the night. Amid the chaos, Kane, our protagonist, valiantly fights back, but is ultimately overpowered, beaten, and taken captive. While Kane's life hangs in the balance, a frantic Paul races towards the bar in his car, his heart pounding like a drum. He witnesses the Russian criminals making their escape and decides to chase them, his adrenaline-fueled pursuit only to be abruptly halted by a swarm of police cars.
Trying to kill everyone in this city. Look at me. Go to hell!
In the midst of this impasse, a stern-faced detective emerges from the shadows, issuing one final warning to Paul. In a surprising twist, the detective grants him an unexpected reprieve.
Thanks, Peter.
Meanwhile, Kane finds himself in the clutches of his tormentors. The sadistic Chernov steps forward, a grim figure of vengeance, mercilessly delivering blow after blow to Kane's battered body.
Why are you killing my man?
At the same time, Paul races to Danny's house with the dreadful news of Kane's capture. In a heart-wrenching moment, Kane tries to extract a confession from Chernov, suspecting that the death was a cruel act of revenge for a long-forgotten robbery. Chernov, his face twisted with puzzlement and anger, reveals a shocking truth. The Russian mobster they killed in their youth was Chernov's own brother.
Do such a thing. Why would I kill the little girl?
She was killed with that Russian gun. Tokarev.
As events spiral out of control, Paul's suspicion turns towards Danny. Did Danny betray them years ago, leading to Caitlin's tragic demise? The truth is locked away, known only to the three of them, but Paul's doubt festers. Their plan was to vanish with the stolen fortune and live a quiet, inconspicuous life. In a fit of rage, he confronts Danny, ending their friendship in a violent, irreversible act, leaving Paul to grapple with the enormity of his actions.
Look, Caitlin, and they shot her in the head. Maybe that's not a big deal to you, but it's a pretty fucking big deal to me! Screw you, Paulie. I give you some of the guts to your boss so he take care of you and make those guns go away! That's all right! Shut up!
Chernov, on the other hand, orchestrates a fateful meeting with O'Connell, unraveling the sinister threads of Paul's involvement in reigniting an old gang war. O'Connell, defiant and uncooperative, meets his tragic end, setting off a chain reaction of violence.
I told you he's not mine any longer. Are you deaf?
I invited you here to ask you to do one thing for me. Take responsibility.
In the quiet recesses of Paul's closet, a relic of a turbulent past lay dormant, waiting to be rediscovered. It is a Tokarev gun, a stark reminder of the robbery that had ignited the flames of war years earlier. Its cold metal whispers tales of a time Paul wishes to forget. One fateful evening, a cryptic message from Evan beckons Mike to a clandestine meeting.
It was an accident.
But as Mike arrives, a haunting twist awaits him. Paul, concealed in the shadows, wielding a gun with a sense of ominous purpose. Tension hanging in the air like an electric charge, pulsating with uncertainty. As minutes stretch into hours, Mike's desperate pleas pry open the floodgates of truth. The real story spills out like a torrent. In the midst of an evening filled with alcohol and a fascination for Paul's gun collection, an accidental gunshot pierces the silence, forever altering their lives. Panic had given birth to a web of lies, the fictitious kidnapping tale that had gripped them in its tangled embrace.
No, I should have put it down. No, it's not even loaded.
Don't be an asshole. Come on.
House to make it seem like a home invasion. I figured with your history, I didn't want to kill her. I was scared.
Paul, wrestling with his own conscience, makes a fateful choice. He chooses not to let the darkness consume him and grants Mike a chance at redemption. With a heavy heart, he departs, leaving the echoes of their shared secrets behind. Returning home, he calls his wife and reveals how he started his criminal life. He apologizes for his past actions and promises that the shadows would soon be vanquished, not realizing that the specters of his history are knocking at his door. Paul tells her the story of the first time he killed, when someone gave him a knife during a bar fight. Eventually, Paul stabs himself as he watches the men enter the room, guns pointed at him. Vanessa reaches home, only to watch the policemen extract Paul's body with tear-filled eyes.